I want to start off this video by clarifying that this is in no way, shape or form me criticizing or being negative about the storylines in both Penacony or Jarillo 6. In fact, I know it might sound a bit confusing, but I actually want to take this time and praise these similarities and kind of take away the fact that it might be seen as negative, especially because these two storylines are the ones that I have adored the most from the game as a whole and contain some of the narrative that I personally enjoy so freaking much. In this video, I want to look at some of the parallels and similarities that both planets share within their storylines, because it is something that I found both to be very intriguing but also incredibly flavorful in terms of game design and world building, and you guys know damn well that I'm a fanatic for flavor design. On first glance, it might sound a bit confusing to be comparing both planets. After all, Jarillo 6 is a frigid wasteland that faces the Stellaron crisis with a lot of fear and dread. The music there is quite gloomy, somber, and in many areas it just is able to reflect this. While on the other hand, we have an extravagant hotel, an amazing city full of joy, wonders, and happiness. The golden hour is the perfect image of happiness, while Belobog's administrative district just, even though it's developed and advanced, shows more signs of depression, hardship, the daily struggle that these people have to face, and it might look like they're both complete opposites in this surface level, but when we start looking deeper into the topics, into the symbolism, and even the ideologies that are seen within these two planets, we start to see more and more that the similarities start to appear. As a matter of fact, in taking notes, I was able to compile a bit of a list of topics that I wanted to cover that I thought were both really interesting and neat, which show these parallels between the two nations. And as such, in this video, I wish to mainly go over the flavor design of both planets, as well as parts of their storyline, comparing them and appreciating the great aspects that each had within their respective stories. Now, mind you, a lot of this is subject to my own bias, as we will go over the stories, animations, voice lines, music, aesthetics, things of the sorts, and those can be very opinion based. I also want to say that some of these things are up to a certain extent up to my own interpretation, so some of this could be wrong or just an assumption. So I invite you to correct me if I am wrong, and I'm more than welcome it. Any extra notes and corrections will be pinned down in a comment in this video, and I do want to start doing more of this into future videos, especially want to add it into the perfectly designed series, so I can record y'all's input and ideas further. So hey, feel free to leave a comment, and if you enjoy the idea, let me know with a like. With that being said and done, let's overanalyze the parallels of both Jarillo 6 and Penacony. To start things off, I want to go over by talking about the aeons themselves, as they were the main reason why I started to analyze and compare these two planets all throughout my playthrough. And in here we have both Qlipoth, the Aeon of Preservation, and of course, Ena the Order, who had been secretly spreading its roots in Penacony after having been consumed by Qlipoth the Harmony. The reason why I wish to compare these two in particular is in fact because these two in the lore have been compared to be similar, and we can see this through the Simulated Universe's archives, specifically in the Preservation's entry dev log 3, which says as follows. I'm curious, How did the architects receive inspiration from their aeon in advance to build the towering walls to resist enemies from the outside? After all, Qlipoth cares little for mortals, and observing living beings is a behavior more familiar to Ena the Order. I suppose it makes sense for these two aeons to have communal responsibilities. After all, there is some overlap between preservation and order. To tell the truth, I really admire Ena. They exclude the glory of the old empires like majestic marbles, which is also somewhat similar to Qlipoth. They both feel similar to protector gods, albeit not entirely the same. I really like this entry log aton in particular because it essentially establishes how both aeons, although they have their own difference in their ideologies and in the way that they act, still have that same will to protect and keep existence safe from harm, and they are the aeons that seek similar goals. And honestly, this might be perhaps the reason as to why they were able to make an agreement to team up against Taysenroth, the Aeon of Propagation, and Ouroboros, the Aeon of Veracity, back in the Swarm Disaster event. What I also personally like about this is that it essentially hints at a bit of working together that the Aeons might do, and it will be interesting to see if we get to know more about this within the next storyline as the IPC is going to join, even though the IPC is not really that connected to Qlipoth. But I digress, I'm going into a little bit of a tangent. Continuing on, it is because both paths are similar in nature that it can be expected that they, the followers and those that appraise the Aeon may share similar traits and ideologies between them. Look at it like this. These people revere deities that they wish to seek for their aid, their protection, or even just admiration as a whole. Just to the point that they want to carry out their will as well. And this honestly just leads me to my next topic, and one that I'm very eager to talk about, which is the parallels that we see between Mr. Svarog and Sunday. Now, I know it might sound a bit crazy to be comparing Sunday, the big bad boss of Penacony, with Mr. Svarog, the boss of the underworld. But let me explain. When you really look at both of their plans, you can start to draw out some similarities due to the way that their ideologies, their programming, their beliefs kind of just align perfectly together. In Mr. Svarog's case, as he is programmed to follow the preservation to the letter and upkeep the values and desires of it, he does everything he believes to be the best for those under his care. And it is because of that in the Belobog storyline, he chose to imprison all the residents in the underworld and prohibit passage into the overworld. For he believed that the Stellaron crisis was far too severe for anyone to face, and those in the overworld were just gonna be doomed to face it. He would rather preserve the people from the underworld because they are Clara's family. There's the people that she holds very close and dear, and as such, he makes sure that everybody can be safe. But what he doesn't really take into account is that this essentially means that he is trapping them in a cage. Now, doesn't that sound a little bit familiar? The analogy of a cage is one that we can see often in Penacony's storyline, in particular in regards to Sunday's ideologies and beliefs. As a matter of fact, one of the dilemmas that we are faced on and that Sunday himself experienced is that of the Charmony Dove. He had to choose whether to set free a bird or risk it to die at some point, whether it be a few minutes after he freed it or years later, whether it be by the hands of predators or simply because it wasn't able to fly or it crashed against the window. And it is because of this fear that he faced and in this need to protect and keep the bird safe that he chose that he would rather have it be protected inside of a cage where it cannot be harmed, where it cannot be damaged, and if it need be, will be taken care of by the bird keeper, in this case Sunday, for the rest of his life, if it means that the bird will get to live a long life, a healthy life. As the quote-unquote opposition to Sunday, we essentially have Robin, who tries to help him out in changing a little bit his ideology, or at least to ease up on things. And regardless of everything that happened, she still knows that Sunday is her brother, and she wishes for him to be safe, and even hugs him at the end of the boss fight, after he is defeated by the Astral Express. This is honestly comparable to when Clara was still there saving and caring for Mr. Svarog, despite all those disagreements that in which the things that they believed in. Literally when Natasha was freaking aiming a gun at him. So I personally do like to see that both Mr. Svarog and Sunday have a supportive figure that cares for them and wishes for their well-being no matter what. And I don't know, it is nice just to know that there is someone that cares for one another. Though their methods were flawed, their goals were noble and were what they believed in that would be the key for a better future. This also lets me bring up the fact that one of the things that I hadn't really noticed before until I was making this video, but I genuinely thought was so freaking good in terms of Robin's flavor design, is the fact that it has splash art, right? You can actually see that alongside the music box that is behind her, there's also a freaking broken birdcage that perfectly depicts her own beliefs and the whole concept of Penacony's storyline, and I just think that that is absolutely beautiful and also a perfect representation of the Tramini dove. So I don't know, it's just absolutely perfect, and it also makes me adore her voice line that is about Sunday too.
My brother has always been my protector, and I've never contemplated stepping out of his shadow. Yet even though we may take different paths, I am still his little sister.
Maybe I am a sucker for this trope in shows and video games, but there's something that is so interesting and fascinating about storylines that have civilizations that are split into two between the upper class and the lower class. Examples that immediately come to mind are such as Piltover and Zon from League of Legends and Arcane, Fontaine having that underground civilization, and Poisson, which heavily contrasts with the city of Fontaine. Other examples are also, for as weird as this one might be, Olympus and Hades, from literally just the game Hades and mythology itself. And also, just as a fourth example, because it just came into my mind, Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. Yeah, all these are just concepts that I personally just adore so freaking much, and it's just absolutely great. And I don't know, there's just something about this split of like people status that is just so cool, and that I just like how they flesh out and develop storylines from this. Like, it's really nice social commentary, and the story writing just ends up being some of my favorite from this. I don't know, there's just something really cool about watching my favorite characters either overcome their shortcomings while like others are able to like learn to see from the other person's perspective, where both sides reach a better understanding. I don't know, it's just beautiful. And I'm sorry for having gone a bit too long on the topic, but like, yeah, just like this trope is great when it's done correctly. So moving on with the video. I think it's pretty obvious that this sort of narrative is visible within the story of both planets. For the case of Jarillo 6, we literally have the overworld and the underworld. As messed up as that sounds, like, it literally is just what they are called. And it kind of also, again, reminds me of the fact that this is like the concept of like Olympus and Hades in Greek mythos. On the other hand though, we have the golden hour as the place where everyone gets to enjoy their vices, live a life of happiness, drink to their heart's content or regret. And, you know, on the opposite side, we have the Dream Flux Reef, a place many deem as them having died, even though they haven't really died, or just like hell where they're being punished. There's people that like don't enjoy being there, that were captured there on accident by Sleepy. I say captured, but like more like transported. And it's like more akin to reality. And as such, people just like suffer from it. Because like, really do look at it like this. They're being sucked away from the beautiful dreamscape that they desire to be in at all times. And then they're being sent to this place. And in all honesty, you can literally even see some NPCs that have like really depressing voice lines. Like some that immediately come to mind were like a Pepeshi saying like, if I stop drinking, will like she come back? And an Intellitron saying, oh, like this dumpster is bigger than my apartment. Like, it is just incredibly sad and heartbreaking, but it is just like the reality that they have to face, and it's just, again, absolutely perfect for like storytelling, in my opinion, seeing the struggles of like just the people. Oh, and also before I even forget about this, because it's something that is kind of important, both the Dreamflux Reef and the Underworld are literally places for the high upper class to essentially feed on. Like, legitimately, people from the upper area just take away resources. They extract everything that they can. In Bellabog, they were literally taking away so much geomarrow in order to obtain heat, energy, resources for the people's well-being, but they were leaving the people in the underworld in crisis. And on the other hand, for Penacony, we have the literal Dreamflux Reef being consumed by the golden hour in order to maintain that perfect dreamscape. Like, it is just like, the attention to detail is perfect, and again, I might be over analyzing everything, but this kind of things make me so happy. So, hey, real quick, before we continue on with this video, I would like to invite you guys to subscribe to the channel. If you enjoy this sort of content and you want to see more of it, you can always find it in here. In particular, I've been enjoying going over just like the design of the world of Star Rail and like the characters and like how well thematically they have like made them. As a matter of fact, unless I would like to say, I'm very addicted to the flavor of the game, because just the design team has been doing a great job, and I really do want to thank them so freaking much. And speaking of thank yous, I also would like to say, hey, thank you guys for helping me reach 2,000 subscribers. Y'all are absolutely insane and you make me so happy. So it is because of you guys that I get to be able to make more of these videos and keep on having fun, and it is absolutely great. So genuinely, you all are amazing. And yeah, again, just real quick, like, you know, it only takes a second. You can always unsubscribe if you feel like my, you know, the quality of my content ever drops, or if you just no longer enjoy it that much. So yeah, with all that being said, let us continue on to the video. Something that was incredibly important to Bellobok's story is the arrival of the Astral Express, when the Trailblazer, March 7th, and Dan Heng start to help with the Stellaron crisis. We, as the players, were the new variable that was added into the conflict that the planet had been facing, and as such, we were the ones that would be able to bring forth a new solution to everyone's problems. Similarly, in Penacony, it is revealed throughout the story that the reason that we were invited to the planet of festivities is so that we can help the Watchmaker and Gallagher free the planet from the catastrophes that were awaiting it. But in this case, it wasn't just the Astral Express that were the new variable. We essentially had multiple new variables from all the invitations that Gallagher had sent out throughout the cosmos. He literally was able to gather the Masked Fools, the Knights of Beauty, the IPC, the Galaxy Rangers, the Stellaron Hunters. Like, it is just wonderful what beautiful job they did. And it's just, I don't know, I just love the fact that this was a solution for the Penacony conflict. He gathers those he could ask for help, and they all essentially are the reason why we saved Penacony and were able to uncover the Watchmaker's legacy. Like, legitimately, without the Astral Express, both Belobog and Penacony would have been in ruins. Belobog would have still have been separated between the two areas clashing against each other. Like, the underworld would still be living in fear and hate the Silvermane guards. The vagrants and the citizens would be in disarray for the Geomarrow, and Mr. Svarog would have probably still be on Natasha's hit list. You know, at the end of the day, like, we were the reason that all of this was able to change. And similarly, in Penacony, it is because of the combined efforts, not only of us, but everyone around us, that made the change in order for Penacony to be freed. Boothill summoning all the Galaxy Rangers, the Stellaron Hunter helping us put all the pieces together to uncover the truth behind death, the IPC being a menace but still being incredibly relevant, and Sparkle and Sampo just they were just doing their own thing. But in all honesty, they were handing out a lot of like little hints and pieces of the puzzle that we might not have understood, but definitely were really helpful in order to progress the storyline. And you know, Sparkle was just handing out little buttons that I am afraid of. Next patch. I am scared. Still though, it is this idea that we, not only as the Astral Express, but as the players themselves, helped a civilization grow, and that many people were able to thrive, is something that I love about these stories. It gives me, I don't know, personally, a sense of accomplishment and success. Like a reward for having gone through all of these events and key moments. And there were a lot of touching moments because of it. There were many amazing musical numbers that followed every single major point in the story, and it all brought in with it a sense of completion. Granted, I may be putting a bit too much emphasis here. I do struggle a lot with giving myself a lot of credit, so this is like very much welcome for me. I tend to be very self-critical, so I just really like when video games do these things where they make you feel special and they make you feel like you are accomplishing things. So I just want to say real quick to the game developers, hey, thank you very much. And I also want to leave a quick message to you guys to essentially just say that, like, hey, you guys got this. I want to encourage you to, chase whatever it is that, like, you might be having on the back of your mind that you're not sure if you want to go for it, or you might be scared of. Hey, you got this. You putting in the effort is the variable that might actually, allow you to succeed. So, you got this. I'm gonna take this opportunity to kind of circle back a little bit, and it is because there is actually a second character that I wish to compare Sunday to, and I was like saving it for a little bit later into the video, and hey, that later has just now arrived because it may have been a bit weird to some of you guys that I compared Sunday to Mr. Svarog, and that is because I wasn't completely done, because the second character that I want to compare him to is Cocolia. It is honestly really interesting just to see like some of the nice parallels that these two have, not just like again in their ideologies, but also in the way that they act and the way that they are throughout our travels in their respective planets. And I wasn't originally gonna add this segment, but like upon further expansion, like I don't know, I just like noticed it. Like I was like looking at both Echoes of War and I'm just like, huh, that's really interesting. Let's like dig deeper. And this is all that I found out. Starting things off, we know that these two characters were people that used the Stellaron for their own benefit in ways that they wished in order to bring forth a better future, right? Again, like some of their ideas were noble within it. While Sunday's was more of a voluntary decision, Cocolia's is a completely different case. Cocolia's decision came to be from a moment of despair and anguish. She had been hearing the voices of the Stellaron and she had been arguing that Belobog will be able to thrive and prosper, but eventually she was not able to handle all of these voices that were haunting her coming from the Stellaron. She lost hope in Belobog's ability and as such decided to trust the power of the Stellaron in order to reach that better future. That being said, that doesn't excuse the fact that both of them ended up abusing the powers in order to reach a desired reality. Other quick parallels that I had seen that are really just like a bit small, but I do find them to be either important or maybe just a little bit funny, are the following. As I mentioned, both of them are the big bad bosses of their respective planets, like especially just from like the main storyline. But I just personally find interesting how both of them have imaginary damage and they both share the fire and electric weaknesses. So it just makes me believe that that might just be something related to the Stellaron itself, that like these powers might be related to the element of imaginary, and hey, maybe we have a connection there with like Welt's Herrscher powers. That's just a theory, a Star Rail theory. I'm sorry, I really had to do that. I just got an itch But yeah, like moving on to like other things that like I kind of deem to be similar, it's just really nice how both of these characters were the ones that just kind of like swap our status as like visitors or like steamed guests into, hey, like you guys are a threat to my country, and as such we got labeled as criminals because they were afraid of us interfering with their plans. We also know that like their boss fights, for some reason they just get massively annihilated by a freaking mechanical construction. Like, you know, we have the literal gigantic robot just punching the hell out of Cocolia, while on the other hand, we literally do have freaking the actual express ramming into Sunday. So overall, it's just really, really interesting. Another thing that I personally like is how for these two particular stories, we get the power to defeat them. And this power comes from those in the past that wished for a better world, a world that actually aligns itself with the ideologies of the planet. Like, you know, we were able to obtain the power of preservation both from Qlipoth, but also through Alyssa Rand's lands and what she believed in. While on the other hand, we are able to obtain the power of the harmony through Mikhail's legacy and Shipei. Also, do take into account that these powers were the ones that like helped us overcome and like defeat the final bosses of like the planets respectively. Like, under all intents and purposes, we had lost against them, but we were able to Uno reverse them and defeat them. Cocolia had literally stabbed us, and then we were just like, nope, preservation is helping us, and yeah, we just like absolutely destroyed them, which was absolutely great. While on the other hand, Sunday had literally like placed us in a recursive dream. Like we were cooked, we were done for. The only reason we were able to escape is partially because Black Swan, because of boothill, but like when you look at it, it's because of the harmony that everybody working there together had achieved. It is because Robin started singing. It is because Black Swan was able to travel through the memory. It is because Acheron was able to be unaffected by the harmony. It is because Boothill was able to assemble everybody. Like, all of the things just like place themselves together, and as such we were able to escape that fake dream. And that is something that I just genuinely adore for the storylines of both planets. But of course, all these similarities wouldn't end there, because hey, you know, after we have defeated the boss fight, guess who's coming to the planet? Of course, it is the IPC, because they are trying to repossess everything that they can. And in all honesty, seeing the IPC in every single one of these nations, it's starting to get concerning. So I really cannot wait to see what is in store for the 4.2 update. No wait, 4.3 update of Stariel. I cannot wait to finally meet another cornerstone in Jade and see what the hell is gonna happen with Firefly, because the legacy said, not the legacy, the like freaking prediction said that she would die 3 times, and she has died twice, so we're missing that last death. And I'm very concerned, and again, I'm going off topic, so let us move on. Something else that I wish to add into these comparisons, though here I will admit that I am going a bit further into my own interpretation of things, is the similarities that arrive from the behind the scenes helpers that we see throughout the stories in both Belobog and Penacony. And it feels interesting because I am about to parallel one character with two other ones once more. With these ones being Sampo being compared to Sparkle and Gallagher of all things. And before you come out to me with pitchforks, because like how dare I compare Gallagher to Sampo? Hear me out real quick, okay? Because I do have something that was maybe a bit weird, but like still I enjoyed it, that I kind of wanted to compare them with. The first things first, though. Sampo and Sparkle's comparison is just one that is mainly based on the fact that they're both masked fools, each with their own agenda, their own schemes, and their own way of having fun. But at the same time, it is really nice how they are there to like still help drive the plot forward. You know, in Sparkle's case, she is the one that takes us into the child's dream. She's the one that helps us, that helps Adventurine in multiple instances to guide him to his goal, and to a certain extent, he really did keep Sunday from going insane and going guns blazing through all of Penacony, because he was like, you know, she was able to play a facade and disguise herself as Robin, being able to confuse almost everybody. So that was like really good. On the other hand, Sampo Koski was literally the massive help that we needed in Belobog in order for things to just play out perfectly. He is the reason we got hunted down at first by the Silvermane Guard. He is the one that takes Bronya into the underworld in order to open her eyes to the other side of her people. He is the one that helps us reach Boss Varrock, and the one that calls Natasha in order to aid us there, as well as being the person that essentially gave us the hidden passage through the overworld and the underworld, as other areas were going to be heavily guarded, whether it be by Svarog or anybody else. And mind you, he was able to hide this passage from both sides of the planet, which you do have to admit is very freaking respectable. And also, in particular, you know, that little hidden passage thing that I just mentioned might sound a little bit familiar. Oh my god, my voice cracked there. Yeah, this is really the reason why I compare Gallagher to a small extent to Sampo, and it is because both, like essentially both of them were a third party that was helping us from the sidelines, but he essentially was the only person that like gave a safe passage from the golden hour into the Dreamflux Reef. Additionally, they both have a lot of charisma going out for them. Like, you know, like you may hate Sampo, but you gotta admit that to be a scammer and a shady business dealer that he is, he must be persuasive and suave. And you know, Gallagher being just perfect because he's a bartender, he's one of the best characters in the game, and I will miss him so goddamn much. Penacony, how dare you take him away from me so goddamn soon. Gallagher, come home, Sleepy misses you. You cannot just cease to exist like that. I went on a tangent. I'm sorry, but I just really needed to vent that out. That being said, again, no, like Gallagher really quickly became one of my favorite characters, and you know, he's great with talking as a bartender. He's a very nice person. He was very thoughtful, going through every single person that he knows in the Dreamflux Reef, and like to a certain extent, some people did remember him. So it was just nice that he was a bit of a opposite Sampo, but still kind of served partially that role. So it's nice, and also do take into account that both of them essentially were the reasons why we're able to teach the person from the overworld or their respective like fantasy city about the conditions of the hidden areas. Because, you know, Gallagher took Robin into the Dreamflux Reef, and that is how Robin decided to help us. So, as I'm editing this, I had posted on Reddit about like these little comparisons that I had made, and while the post didn't really receive that much attention, I do have to thank the fact that there was one person that commented by the username Zayla, which I'm putting their comment there, which I just thought it was insane because I never actually really thought about it. But apparently the song Wildfire does have a fair amount of references to like Penacony. Not necessarily like references in a way, but like more that like when you listen to the lyrics, this could easily apply to Penacony. Like there's lines such as like in their restless dream, which refers to, you know, how the golden hour has been very agitated. There's the fact that, you know, the lyric, pain will make up the despondent crowd in this dormant world somehow, which, you know, dormancy, the whole concept of everything in Penacony. I'm like reading off their comment, but I don't want to like read it one for one. But like, yeah, you guys have it here. I'm just sorry that I'm like very nervous, but like this is so cool, and I just adore it so much. Like there's the lyric of unsheath a sword to rend those clouds above the ground. The whole acheron literally parting the sky in two. Wake up, it's time to gather now, when everybody legitimately unites themselves at the end. You know, when everybody from literally boothill, the masked fools, I don't really know, I'm just like, I'm too excited. And yeah, like essentially everybody waking up and unifying themselves to overcome the dream. We made a choice to fight against fate. Just, I love it. I'm sorry that I'm just like butchering probably this segment, but I'm just like probably way too excited, and I don't want to cut off this segment where I'm like literally just fanboying about the fact that like this one comment makes me like adore the song Wildfire that much more. It's great. Anyways, yeah, like that. With this, we officially move on to the end of the video. But yeah, with all that being said and done, if you have reached to this point in this video where you have literally watched over 40 minutes of me rambling and yapping, I really do appreciate you so goddamn much. I had to take a quick moment and a quick breather after like the whole Wildfire segment, because that was insane. That like literally just like destroyed my mind, but like it made me very freaking happy. Again, I'm just like, I don't want to go off too much tonight. This is the conclusion, and I do want to say real quick that, hey, if you enjoy this sort of content and me yapping perhaps a bit too much, overanalyzing the game, I invite you over to subscribe to the channel. It's free, it only takes a second, and if you ever feel like my content is falling off or I'm no longer putting in as much effort as I should, you know, you're more than welcome to unsubscribe. Again, it only takes a second, so you really aren't losing that much by subscribing. Additionally, I also do want to give a quick little segment of thank yous here, because I just want to say, first of all, thank you to my girlfriend for having been so supportive of me about making these videos, and even in the moment that I went essentially MIA because I was getting stressed, I was not really sure what I wanted to do. I kind of like stagnated myself in like this weird like block. She was there to support me and re-encourage me to pick this up. Additionally, thanks to every single one of y'all that like were commenting and like leaving like amazing messages that were asking for videos. It really means a lot, and it really makes me happy. I love interacting with this community, and I love being able to be here and like ramble on about little details that most people I feel like don't know this, but like there's a group of you guys that do, and that just is so goddamn great. Additionally, I want to say thank you guys because we have reached over 2,050 subscribers, and that genuinely blows my mind because, like, if I recall correctly, I'm not entirely sure, but like I could have sworn that at the very beginning of the year I was at like 200 subscribers. So this essentially means that we have grown roughly like, well, over 10 times, right? And I'm just beyond shocked by that. I'm like amused. Like it breaks my mind away that the growth has been so explosive, even with me being gone for a month. And speaking of that month, I remember when I was showing you all my analytics, and I was like, hey, like the people that have been watching the video has dropped to 2.5, which is way more than I expected people to like still be watching. So first of all, thank you guys again. But like, I was like, let's make it the goal be that like by the end of the month, we reach back to 5%. I am happy to announce that that number right now lies at 6.6. It's been less than a week, or actually exactly a week, and we are over the goal that I had set for myself. And it's... Thank you guys so much, genuinely. Like, it means so much. So like, let's make it the next goal to beat shall be 7.5%. I'm maybe a little bit ambitious because I don't know, I'm like having low expectations because I'm really bad at giving myself credit and those kinds of things. But like, let's hope that we can reach it. With that being said and done, like genuinely, thank you so much. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your days. Have a good day, have a good morning, have a good night, have a good evening, whatever time zone applies to you. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.